Linda Lovelace, a name that once ignited a cultural firestorm, becoming synonymous with a seismic shift in adult entertainment. But behind the infamous smile that captivated millions lay a disturbing story of alleged manipulation and terrifying torment, a story that continues to spark fierce debate even decades later. Was she truly the empowered queen of a sexual revolution, boldly charting new territory? Or was Linda Lovelace its most tragic captive, a young woman whose life was not her own? Her unprecedented fame etched her into history, yet it's the dark, unresolved questions about her journey that truly define her complex and haunting legacy. Long before the infamous name Linda Lovelace echoed in adult theaters, there was Linda Boreman, a young woman whose early life was a harsh study in contrasts. She was raised under the strict doctrines of a devoutly Catholic family, a world that reports suggest was also marked by significant unhappiness and emotional turbulence. Her parents, a policeman and a waitress, enforced a rigid upbringing, enrolling her in conservative religious schools where her reserved demeanor earned her the nickname Miss Holy Holy from classmates. This early environment, far from nurturing, created a powder keg of suppressed desires and vulnerabilities. The first major upheaval came when Linda, at the tender age of 20, was involved in a serious car accident. While she survived, this event irrevocably altered her life's trajectory. For her recuperation, she relocated to her parents' new home in Florida, a move that placed her directly in the path of a man named Chuck Traynor. He was 27, a local bar owner with a predatory charm and an expensive car, and Linda, then 21 and perhaps desperate for affection and escape, was an easy target. Traynor, it said, quickly zeroed in on her insecurities, showering her with attention and promises of an exciting, unconventional life. The connection was intoxicatingly fast. Within a mere few weeks, Linda had abandoned her parents' residence to move in with him, lured by the illusion of a glamorous future, possibly as a photographer's muse, as he'd claimed. Little did she know, this whirlwind romance was the first step onto a path riddled with exploitation and danger. Under Chuck Traynor's pervasive influence, Linda Boreman's world allegedly transformed into a nightmarish existence. It has been widely reported that Traynor methodically dismantled her autonomy, purportedly using a disturbing combination of psychological manipulation, hypnosis, and stark intimidation to command her every action. Linda herself would later detail harrowing accusations, claiming she was coerced into a deeply exploitative lifestyle, forced to engage in acts for others while Traynor managed the profits. This grim prelude led directly to Deep Throat. The film itself was a peculiar anomaly, shot on a shoestring budget, largely in unremarkable motel rooms, with Linda reportedly receiving a mere $1,200 for her iconic role. Yet, upon its 1972 release, it didn't just succeed, it detonated a cultural bomb. Deep Throat became one of the first adult films to achieve widespread, almost mainstream, recognition, turning Linda Lovelace into an international, albeit controversial, celebrity practically overnight. But Linda consistently and vehemently maintained a chilling counter-narrative that every moment on screen, every notorious scene, was performed under direct coercion from Traynor, with the constant, terrifying threat of severe harm if she didn't comply. Her on-screen persona, perceived by many as revolutionary or joyfully uninhibited, was, by her account, a desperate act of survival. While a few voices from the adult film industry at the time have reportedly suggested Linda seemed personally invested or even enthusiastic about her boundary-pushing work, she remained steadfast in her declarations of being an unwilling participant. As Linda Lovelace became a household name, the woman behind the persona was allegedly fighting a silent battle, but the whispers of her ordeal were about to get louder. The explosion of Deep Throat catapulted Linda Lovelace into a bizarre kind of superstardom. Suddenly, she was a reluctant celebrity, paraded around Hollywood by Chuck Traynor, making appearances and even reportedly dating famous figures. For a time, being seen with the era's most notorious adult film star became a strange badge of honor for some in the limelight. Traynor meticulously managed her public image, ensuring she played the part of the willing sex symbol. However, behind this carefully constructed facade, Linda's turmoil was allegedly intensifying. The pressures of fame, coupled with the dark control she later claimed Traynor wielded, started to show visible cracks. In early 1974, a highly publicized arrest in Las Vegas for possession of illicit substances brought her personal struggles into sharp public focus, hinting that all was not well. This incident, and the escalating unsustainability of her situation, seemed to galvanize Linda. Later that year, in a move that shocked many, she found the strength to end her relationship with Traynor. This separation wasn't just a breakup, it was an escape. Soon after, Linda began to reclaim her voice, courageously stepping forward to make stunning accusations against her former husband and manager. She publicly detailed a life of alleged horrific abuse, profound coercion, and near-total control, painting a picture of her time in the adult film world that was diametrically opposed to her on-screen persona. The world, which had consumed her image so voraciously, was now confronted with a chilling and deeply unsettling narrative. Her escape from Traynor's shadow wasn't just a personal victory, it marked the beginning of a new, outspoken chapter, one that would see her confront the industry that defined her. Freed from Traynor's grip, Linda Boreman embarked on a radical transformation, rebranding herself as a vocal opponent of the adult film industry. She aligned with prominent feminist anti-pornography activists, becoming a powerful, if controversial, voice in their campaign. Her harrowing personal story served as a potent cautionary tale, and she testified about the coercion and abuse she stated she endured. She even penned a tell-all autobiography, Ordeal, further detailing her traumatic experiences. For many, she became a symbol of survival and a brave whistleblower. However, Linda's journey remained far from straightforward. Reports began to surface suggesting her disillusionment with the anti-pornography movement itself. It's been said she felt they, too, had exploited her story without fair compensation or genuine long-term support. Then, in a move that baffled many observers and supporters, Linda was reportedly seen at adult entertainment conventions in later years, signing autographs on copies of Deep Throat, the very film that was central to her narrative of suffering. This period added layers to an already complex narrative, with some accounts suggesting a desperate need for income, while others wondered if it signaled a more complicated relationship with her past. Adding to the enigma, in a 1997 interview, Linda made a statement that she was not ashamed of her past, a declaration that seemed to sit uneasily alongside her decades of consistent, vehement claims of brutal coercion. These apparent contradictions only deepened the enigma surrounding Linda Lovelace, a puzzle that would remain incomplete. Linda Lovelace's tumultuous life was tragically cut short in April 2002 following a devastating car accident. She was just 53, leaving behind a legacy as convoluted and debated as her years in the spotlight. So, who was the real woman behind the infamous name? Was she purely the victim of a monstrous manipulator, as her most compelling testimonies suggest? Or did glimpses of willingness, as some claim to see, complicate that narrative? Perhaps she was a figure far more nuanced than any single story could ever fully capture, a survivor grappling with trauma in endlessly complex ways. Linda Lovelace remains an uncomfortable icon, a potent symbol of exploitation, alleged survival, and the persistently murky realities of fame's darkest edges. Her story forces us to look beyond the headlines, urging a deeper reflection on the truth, consent, and the enduring, often unanswerable, questions she left in her wake.